Hey now, this is Dr. Eddie Weller.
And Lisa Jenkins.
Welcome to Getting Weller. One of the things Lisa and I were talking about today was that uncomfortable growth. That thing of, when you go, I guess the best example would be going to the gym. We talked about it. Lisa's recently stepped into a gym and...
my legs are on fire.
Yes, and you should have seen her face the first time she walked into a gym. It was like...
It was scary.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's only scary because it's uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. But as we do things that are uncomfortable, we grow as we experience. It's just like the gym, right? Your body, let's just talk about your leg muscles right now, are experiencing uncomfortable growth.
Well, let's talk about why. Because Friday, when Dr. Weller went into the gym with me, he absolutely worked me to death.
What?
He made me do things I've never done before.
Workout 101.
Yeah. Okay. Because my legs rocked for 3 days.
You told me you want buns of steel.
Yeah.
So I was working it.
For 3 days, I had major pain in my... It was an awesome feeling, but I could hardly move.
But
it was very uncomfortable.
But what's so great about that is you added a stress to the system. Although uncomfortable, you added a stressor that was actually constructive. And the reason why it's constructive because it helps us gain shape and lose weight. Mm-hmm. And in that process of doing that, I don't like this, but boy, I love the outcome.
Right.
It's kind of like when people ask me as a doctor, hey, would you look at this for me? Or this muscle hurts, or this joint hurts, or this posture isn't right. And I'll do some very uncomfortable stretches, or maybe even a little bit of showing them some muscle work and kind of push on something that's tender. Ow, ow, ow. But when you work through that after 2-3 minutes with me, oh my gosh, that feels great. It's the uncomfortable growth. And I think we do that even with our finances. Right? We had this conversation in the car today. Mm-hmm. And as we're talking about, we just had a great conversation with a mutual friend, and he was talking about money and, simplify your life and on and on and on. But it's easy to simplify your life when there is money in the bank.
Right. It is.
People say, I don't have the $100,000 sitting in the bank like this individual had. And so now what do you do? Well, I have to work. And when you work, it's uncomfortable all the time because sometimes I might have to stay a little bit later because I have to make that money so my children can have this or my kids can have that.
Well, as parents, we give that up. I mean, you and I were talking about this, and it was pretty heated, not a heated discussion, but we both have we have a lot of
strong opinions.
That's what I'm looking for, strong opinions about it. And the bottom line is when you don't have the money in the bank, you don't have any choice but to work. And then so to hear somebody say, but spending time with your kids is the most important thing, yes, it absolutely is. But when your bank account controls it and you don't have any choice, you don't want to feel guilty because you have to work and you have to be gone at night.
I remember growing up, my mother had gotten a divorce from my biological father when I was in kindergarten. And so first, second, third grade, Mom was a single mom. And it was interesting to watch her do some very uncomfortable things in order to take care of us, which is work 2 to 3 jobs. And did she get to see us much? No, we hung out with Charlotte, who was our babysitter that Mom paid for with one of those jobs so she can provide for her 2 children. And so those uncomfortable things you have to do in order to allow your family to grow and find out who you are as a family today.
That doesn't mean, and I know that this is a whole show, we can get on this whole
well, good. We just started in the beginning, so we're going to do it right now.
Well, but it does come down to, uncomfortable growth, and there's a whole lot that is encompassed in that uncomfortable growth, and this is just one entity of it. But we see families all the time that are stuck in this, I don't know if I should go do this job because I need to spend time with the kids. And hey, it's about embracing the moments you have with your kids, the time that you are given.
Maximize
Put the
time
phone away, turn the TV off, turn the news off in the car, and have a conversation with them. That's what we're talking about. You're going to have to work, but the time that you are with them, are you spending time with them, or is it interrupted time?
Well, how often even when we see people in the office that most of the time, 99% of the time, Mom is bringing the family to the office. Dad's nowhere to be seen. Right? He's working or he can't do this or, oh, you guys go and let me know how it works or that kind of thing. There's a disconnect. When does, as a unit, that uncomfortable growth of saying no to certain things that you're finding yourself obligated to where you say yes to your family, the things that really pull your heartstrings. Right? And so letting that go, I think it's uncomfortable.
Well, and I have to say that you're very good at that. I have found since I have known you that you're very good at that balance thing with your family. It's like it may take you forever to get back to my text messages sometimes, but I know that you're with your family, and I value that. I respect that. And that's a huge thing for a lot of people to learn. It's like, okay, so, but but you spend time with your kids. You embrace the time that you have with them. You put the pictures on Facebook where you're at the park. You don't have your phone looking at it every 5 minutes when you're at the park with your children. You're really good about putting your phone away, which is awesome.
I am. And that's always been a struggle. And it's everybody, because we like to stay connected, who's doing what and chit-chatting. But have forced myself, because, again, we just get pulled in a million directions, to, if I'm with you, I'm with you.
And you are. You're very good at that.
I am engaged with that. Even this morning, we had a meeting this morning, and I had a few buzzes this morning. I let that go. And so they'll get back to me. I'm changing my voicemail. I was playing with my greeting earlier today. I'm going to change it again. And it's uncomfortable for people to hear a greeting that would read, hey, I'm glad you called. I get back to these messages within a 24-hour period. Hope you're having a great day. What do you mean? Because we're so right now. We want everything right now.
Instant gratification.
Always. It's everywhere. I mean, how frustrated do we get when our cell phone loses signal or our internet acts up on a computer? Come on, what's wrong with this thing?
What if the whole world, everybody listening right now, just embrace that, just like we were just talking about? If you're with them, be with them.
Be with me.
That's a big deal, and it is something that you're very good at. But imagine how the world would change.
Totally. Even engaged in a conversation. I mean, you and I were just standing out in the hallway talking to a gentleman, and there was a woman that came on up, and she was standing with us. And while this gentleman was talking, engaging us in conversation, she grabbed her phone, and she was texting right there on the phone while this guy was talking. And it was interesting that she did this, and I didn't say anything to her. I just kind of watched, and so I totally engaged in this guy where I had eye to eye. I addressed him, and so I made sure that it wasn't rude, when somebody else was texting. So it's that happens all the time. It's Lisa.
It does happen all the time, but this goes back to one of those things where it's like, but there are some times where you have to deal with something, and I watched that girl beat me, engage, and then I knew that you were carrying the conversation. I still had eye contact with him, but I wasn't with him, and that wasn't right. You're right, but that is...
The move would have been, I'm sorry, could you excuse me for 1 minute? Right, yes. And turn and disengage from the conversation.
Dang it, did you notice that?
That's
great.
This is what I do all day.
Yeah, that's great. But we as parents do that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a perfect example of what we're talking about on the show today.
Our children recognize that.
They do. And just what I did, if I did that in that conversation where there was 3 of us standing there and I did that because I was thinking about it as I was doing it, how rude it was, how many times am I doing that with my children? How many times am I cooking dinner with Emma or doing her hair or just whatever?
And not 100% there.
And I'm not 100% there. We do that so often.
Cesar Milan, the dog whisperer, says that all the time. What's the energy? Because the dogs respond to your energy. When you're in the room and you're just playing the dominant role, they give you all your energy. But if you're doing something else in the room and the dog is there, the dog just kind of does its own thing, and it's not really, you're not sharing time together. Mm-hmm. That's just a vibe that we share with one another, either in a conversation like we had with the gentleman here or with our children. It's just a presence. Oh, mommy's home. And then, you're on the phone. We have a rule in our house. Nobody walks into the house on the cell phone. So when you get addressed, I am with you. It's just a rule. And that rule had to be established for me because I was the one always, I come on the phone. I got the phone on the phone. Somebody talks to me. I'm seeing patients all day. So when I leave the office, I'm calling everybody back because my phone is loaded.
It's interesting. Even this morning, I'm watching Facebook and I see all these people post on Facebook about balance and home and work and life and how do I do this, and I'm thinking, how many times do you actually get off of Facebook and do what you need to do, or get off your phone and do what you need to do? We're so worried about what everybody else is doing and engaging in everything that we possibly
They have to hear my thoughts or comments on that.
That's why laundry's not getting done. And that's why the kids are running around screaming, and then you're frazzled later and you're ready to pull your hair out.
Or you're laying down in bed at night where the kids are falling asleep and the TV's on, and you're both laying there in bed, and one is on the phone scrolling while the other one's watching a channel that the other one doesn't want to see. And there's the disconnect.
Right.
And then that happens over and over and over. You developed your marriage into being a roommate.
That's right.
And what happens is what? You started, and then the finger pointing. Well, you put the TV on. Well, you had the stupid phone on. So, stop.
Right.
When do we say, okay, let's create new grounds. Let's get uncomfortable right now so we can grow together as a couple.
And that's hard. Even with my husband the other day, and as you and I had discussed this a little bit, and it's not that it was a big deal. It's just that us as human beings, looking at it from a different perspective and a different point of view, is I wanted to go to the gym at 9 o'clock at night. And he was like, you're going to be gone again? That's great. Your hat looks great. You're going to be gone again? You're leaving the house again to go work out. I'm 100%. If I am starting a new workout routine or going to the gym, I'm in. Like, I get addicted very fast, and I'm there, and I want change right now, and it's that instant gratification. So,
well, what's also your thought is, as most people say, well, if I go work out, what's he going to do anyway? Kids are going to bed. He's just going to lay on the couch and go to sleep anyway. So what's the point? Why wouldn't I go work out?
So he said, well, you're going to go again tonight? And I said, yes, I'd like to after the kids are in bed. You're at, And then, so we sat down, and I decided not to go work out because I thought, you know what, I do need to spend a little bit of time with the family. And he falls asleep on the couch. Wow.
And here comes the resentment.
Yeah. I could have went and worked out.
You just took time away from what I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's an example of the following day when you wake up, say, I really wanted to work out. I don't mind you going to sleep. You can go to sleep. You're tired. You worked. I get it. Well, let me go do this working out thing. It's not our time anyway.
Right.
So let's establish when is our time, so I don't want to take that away.
Or maybe you can go with me.
That's a simple conversation. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Crazy easy conversation. Include them. How can you go with me to the gym? Well, I don't want to go. Okay, then you don't have to go. I'm just inviting you to go.
Right, but not going to the gym comes back down to that bank account thing, because his mind is, even if we could afford it, his mind is he lives in lack, as most do people. And I'm not I'm not saying anything.
No,
just using
it's
it
just
as an
a topic,
example.
not him.
That he lives in lack, so he's like, we can't spend more money on going to the gym. And I'm thinking, what, really? But then that makes me want to work more. What do you mean we can't afford? So my mind is I need to work. So our bank account doesn't control whether he goes to the gym with me or not, because that's where his mind is.
So let's talk in the next segment about making those uncomfortable decisions, about breaking our state of not only the relationship, but the things that we have, but how do we think in abundance versus scarcity?
All right, you're listening to Getting Weller. We'll be right back.
Hey now, this is Dr. Eddie Weller.
And Lisa Jenkins.
We are having a great conversation about being comfortable in communication. And the last segment kind of developed into scarcity versus the abundant mindset. Nobody ever uses the word abundance. And so when I think about abundance and what people are holding on to is, I have enough money for this. Oh, I have enough for this. I have enough clothes for this. Look at all the food for this. I mean, when you think of abundance, most people think, Thanksgiving. That table's loaded. No matter how much money people do or do not have, we find a way to load that table.
We really do.
Right? And we're just like, wow.
With things that aren't healthy for us.
Abundant amount of food that's here.
Even pancakes and syrup and chocolate.
Yep, raw cacao.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter. We'll get into food another show. So what we want to do is, we were talking about that during the commercial. Sorry, everybody. And what was interesting, I got to tame these two, is the conversation of what do you want from me as a friend or a spouse? And I think we forget about, as our work relationships, because we have work husbands and wives, right? We have work spouses that we work with, and then we go home to that, and it's always having to be accountable, either at work or at home, versus when do I get 10 minutes to go, all right, I really need to decipher what's really important in my life, and then involve other people with that. Most don't do that. Most just say, hey, we're doing this weekend. Does that sound great, everybody? Well, you don't allow me to make a decision. You don't want that, do you? Right? I get asked that often. I've got 2 or 3 people in my life that say, you don't want to eat that, do you? You don't want to go there, do you? Well, you just told me I don't want to go there. Right? So we do that all the time. And I think going back into even the conversation that we had with your husband, or you had with your husband about working out at the gym. Oh, what had happened? Oh, you went to sleep anyway on the couch. He was tired. Well, yeah, because it's time to go to bed at that late at night. So if you want to work out, why wouldn't you get up earlier in the morning and then go to the gym? Me, personally, I hate working out in the morning. I can't stand it.
Oh, I'm a morning workout person. I would rather get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and work out. But going to the gym is not an option for me because I have to get kids on the bus. If that get them all ready, and there's just
so know what most of the billionaires would say? Do what they do and get up at 4. If you like working out in the morning,
I've done that before, but somebody told me not to live by my alarm clock and let my body just get up when it's ready to get up.
Well, you can't do that because you have 4 children that you need to take care of. Yeah, that's your alarm clock.
Yeah.
I've got one at every morning at 5:45. Mama! Papa! Yep, she's 4 years old and she's there every morning. Mm-hmm. But again, if you're willing to make the uncomfortable decision, so I'm making one right now, a big one. And so as I make that uncomfortable decision about, holy cow, my entire shift of my life could very well be changing right now. And when you do that, it gets uncomfortable, but boy, you see the outcome.
It is. It is one of the most uncomfortable things in the universe. And we see people go through this uncomfortable stage time and time again in the office. We have clients who call us and they're like, why am I feeling so depressed and emotional and down? And why is this anger in me? And why am I this? And I'm irritable and I'm...
Why do I turn to alcohol or gambling or pornography? Why am I doing that? Right?
Because you're trying to go around the storm instead of through the storm. And once you get through the storm, what's on the other side is beautiful. Yeah. But you can't get anywhere in life unless you dive right through that storm and feel that pain. But when most people feel that pain, they want to go backwards. I know what comfort tastes like, feels like, smells like. I know everything about it. And that pain of going through that storm is horrific, and I don't want to do it. So I'm going to take that turn and go back.
So instead of having that difficult conversation with my spouse, I'm just going to go in the kitchen and grab the ice cream and just sit on the couch and have some happy ice cream because it doesn't talk back to me, and I get a warm, fuzzy feeling.
Right.
And so that escalates over and over and over, and then 5 years down the road, there's resentment. I'm obese, I'm diabetic, I'm sick, and I have no money, and I'm frustrated in my life. And holy cow, how did this happen?
All because change was uncomfortable. Pain was uncomfortable.
Pruning of that tree. It's on your branches that are things that are keeping you from being you. You might have to cut a few branches. And we did that yesterday with a 7th grader. Mm-hmm. 7th grader we talked to in the office was
phenomenal.
He was getting bullied at school, and he didn't think it was a big deal for kids to hit him with a folder. There's 3 kids in his class that come out since the beginning of school year this year. Kids are coming out to him and just hit him with the folder. Now they're hitting him in the face.
3 different kids hitting him at the same time with 3 different folders.
Yes. And so he had it's no big deal. They're not hurting me. I'm not scared of those guys. But that's the point. They're going to start doing things until they get scared, until you make the uncomfortable decision to say, stop it. And what did I do? I told them to go up to the dry erase board before class starts and said, these are the bullies in class. Beware of the bullies. I told them to write on the board and write their 3 names.
And I'm sitting back going, whoa, what are we doing right now?
And write the 3 names on the board.
Flow. Yep.
And so that is dealing with the storm. That's the uncomfortable, like, holy cow, what are they going to say? The whole class is going to see this. And that kid, his eyes open wide open. Whether or not he does that, that's the whole point. Are you hurting anybody by doing it? Actually, no, you're saving other people.
No, because they wrote things about him on the board.
Right. They've already beat him to the chase.
Right.
So all he's got to do is say, hey, these are the bullies. Confront him. Or he's going to go talk to the assistant principal. And if that doesn't work, I told him, I go over to school and stand out like Cousin Larry and scare the heck out of these kids.
You did. And more importantly is, why is he not standing up for himself? It's uncomfortable to stand up for yourself. It's the pain of, I've actually got to stand on my own 2 feet, and I've got to go after this, and I've got to decide what's more important, letting them beat up on me or living my life and understanding who I am and that I don't deserve this. Mm-hmm. Because any child that's getting bullied, they don't know whether they deserve that or not. They think that they've done something wrong, and they're just going with the flow. Those kids must be right because there's 3 of them.
And I used me as an example. I remember I was in 8th grade, and I was at a 20-year high school reunion when I was reflecting back to in 8th grade. And this girl, Nicole, and she's like, Eddie Weller? I'm like, hey, what's going on? I mean, she's known me since 8th grade. We're at a 20-year high school reunion, so she's known me a long time. And I said, do you remember that guy, Gary? She goes, yeah, the one who kicked you in the face in 8th grade? Her and I were sitting outside the school, sitting on the lawn, just talking, and this guy came up to me and kicked me square in the mouth with his foot, and he walked away. He's like, you're a bastard. Kicked me in the mouth and then walked away. I mean, I said nothing. I didn't. Okay. Hit me. I'm like, what was that? And we just continued on our conversation. But she remembers that. And those are the things that cause us pain, that if we don't address the bullying issue right away, right? So I had to address that bullying issue, and we took care of that. I never got bothered by him again. But if I didn't address that, It would be somebody else in high school, somebody else in college, then somebody else in the workplace. And now the harassment and then the lawsuits and all that game, when you could have stopped it right now. And that's the uncomfortable feeling of
standing up for yourself and stopping it right now. I mean, there's so many parents out there that don't know what to do, and then there's a handful of parents that are like, it's okay if he gets bullied. He needs to go through that. Things are going to come at him his whole life. Where's that healthy boundary between teaching them what's right and wrong and letting them deal with some things and not others and all of that? Because things are not going to quit coming. The world doesn't stop turning. That somebody's going to say something that they don't like. They're going to feel bullied to a certain extent. It's how do we teach them to deal with it?
Well, it's interesting to bring that up because one of the things that I really want to start speaking about a bunch at the Getting Weller events is on that topic. Have breakout sessions. That's something you would do and help parents kind of counsel and that kind of thing, talk to their kids so they can break through that and have it at the Getting Weller events. So if you're kind of curious about that, just go to gettingweller.com and check it out and see what we're about. And if you're interested in something like that, or I'm having a hard time communicating with either a coworker, my spouse, or my children, this would be a great place for you to be heard.
Right.
And so we can deal about it.
Great programs.
Yeah,
we have great things. Great programs.
And I think it's, I love being uncomfortable because I know the outcome, again, going through the storm versus around it, I know the outcome is going to be abundant. I know it's like, golly, we got it. What's next? Let's do this. It's just jumping a hurdle. And when you jump that hurdle, you're like, gosh, like that Staples button. That was easy, right? That was easy.
Yep.
You hit that button. And it is easy. It's like jumping off the high dive that one time. I remember as a kid, there was a huge high dive. And so I'm leaning over, and I jumped off this high dive, and I am holding on to my stomach because I am flying through it. It was a huge high dive, 10 meter. It's a 10-meter high dive. We're like 3 stories in the air. And so you're jumping down 3 stories, and I land into the water, and everybody's like, yeah, cheering. And so then I climb on up again because your ego's big, and now you start acting goofy and doing all these. Because it's easy the first time. No, it's not ever easy the first time. It's always easy the first time after the first time. I can do it again and again and again. So when does it stop? Right? When does it all just go, I don't know what to do. I'm frustrated. I'm stuck. I'm aggravated. I don't know where to go, what to do, how to do things. Sit for 10 whole minutes and just go, God, what do you want from me?
Wait a minute. We just told a client this morning. Actually, she texted me. I should pull out my phone and read it. And she says, and you and I are sitting there talking, and we look at each other at the same time, and I said, she needs to breathe, and you said, and tell her to pray.
Tell her to pray, right.
Because the thing is, she said, what's wrong with me? I'm irritable. I'm cranky. I am crying all the time.
Shaky. I'm nervous.
I don't know what's wrong with me. And our thoughts are, you're going through some emotional things. Your life is about to change. These are things that you have to get through. You're processing. You're having to think about things that you don't want to. Mm-hmm. You're having to think about things that you haven't thought about in a very long time.
Or never had the ability, or
the
okay, if you will, to think about things.
Yes, and you and I call it processing. Yes. When you and I are doing it, we call it processing. When our clients are doing it, they're going through the storm.
And we ultimately call it getting Weller. Right.
So she texts this morning, and she says, what do I do? And what did we say? Lay down on the floor for 10 minutes, do some deep breathing exercises, and pray, and take yourself to a happy place. Yes. Don't forget to say your I am statement.
Don't you dare text us and say, I'm irritable, I'm nervous, I'm this. Don't say what you are. Yeah. This is what I'm feeling. I'm feeling this, I'm feeling that, versus I am. When you say I am these things, you are in trouble. Your body will come in agreement with your thoughts. It doesn't care your body does not care what you think. It just reacts to how you think.
Right.
And we do that all the time. So
and
when
knowing
we do that all the time, sooner or later it gets frustrated. We get upset. We just I have nowhere to turn.
And knowing that the processing and thinking and those emotions are always okay. Mm-hmm. We have a handful of clients that are going through that stuff right now, and some of them are giving up. Some of them are like, this is too hard. I can't do this. I'm experiencing things that I've never experienced before, and the feeling is incredibly painful.
It's overwhelming.
And I'm done.
I don't know where to go.
And I'm not going through it. Well, I promise you that if you can get through it, this will be the last time you'll have to go through it. Yeah. And we all have to do uncomfortable things in our lives. What do you want? What's the most important thing in your life right now?
Again, it's like you're working out. We went to the gym. And you're like, I can do these. And you're like, do what? Oh, I can do this. So we're curling, right? We're doing some curls with the 10-pound dumbbells or 12, whatever. These are easy. All right, let's keep going. Yeah. So we got up to 8, 9, 10, 11, right? That makes it difficult. So as you curl and you work out and that kind of thing, that gets uncomfortable. What happens to the outcome? I got through 12 instead of 10, And the next thing you know, it makes it much easier the next time around.
I didn't want to go to the gym last night after I left the office. I don't know if you and I talked about this or not, but I had a late client, so I'm like, I don't want to go. I'm trying to talk myself out of it, and I'm like, I don't want to go. It's 9 o'clock.
So let's do that this next segment. Let's talk about the things we talk ourselves out of, and how we have to have people, accountability partners, people in our life that kind of keep us centered.
That's right.
So let's do that.
So
you are listening to Dr. Eddie Weller
and Liesa Jenkins.
This is Getting Weller.
We'll be right back.
It might seem crazy what I'm about to say. Sunshine, she's here. You can take a break.
We are back. This is Dr. Eddie Weller.
And Liesa Jenkins.
And we are talking about that uncomfortable growth. And I think last segment we're referring back into who keeps us accountable so we stay kind of straightforward on that path of moving forward in life. Right? So who's in our circle?
Without having those people in your life, it's very difficult. Some of us try to do it without having those people.
Even when people say, well, I don't have to go to church. I have church in my bathroom. I don't have to go to church. And the whole point of that is even when I go to church, and I tend to consider myself a pretty godly person, I love hearing somebody speak, and then you not only get something out of it, but when you do, that person kind of keeps you accountable.
That's right.
By not even being directly in your life.
Right.
So how many people do we have? Are you listening to podcasts? Are you listening to this? Is this how we keep you accountable? How do you do that, and what do you do it with? So I have a group of my 3 or 4 people that are kind of in my tight circle that I bounce stuff off of. And I say, hey, I'm in a pickle with a thought. What do you think? And they're like, well, hold on. What does that have to do with your vision? What's this? What's that? And it really keeps you accountable.
It does.
So I think it's important. And also what I think is, even as parents, you are the accountability leaders for your children. So my parents would always, they weren't huge no people. Oh, no, Eddie, don't do that. No, Eddie, don't do that. I'm like, why? Why do you want to do that? What are we going to do after that then? So it made you go, okay, so it wasn't all about instant gratification right now. It was the outcome. What's the outcome of your decision? That's the point of having somebody accountable in your life.
Well, and what's the outcome? So we went back when we ended the last time we were talking about me not wanting to go to the gym last night. So It's 9 o'clock at night, and here I am not wanting to go to the gym. And I just grabbed my bag, and I'm like, get over it. You got to go. I mean, there was 100 reasons going through my head as to why I didn't want to go. And I
can see the outcome. You look great today.
Thank you. And I have you playing in my head going, get up, move, you can do it. And so I text one of the guys at the gym, and I'm like, I don't want to come tonight. And he's like, I promise you'll feel better after you leave. And I'm like, whatever. Everybody always says that.
Sure.
And here I am, a coach, and I know that. I know the feeling, I went in that place last night, and for 30 minutes I just gave it all I could, and I walked out of there with the biggest smile on my face. I mean, I did it at 9:30 at night. I didn't have an excuse. I felt great about going. Yeah, I mean, it was a long day yesterday. And it just feels good. And that just goes to show how good it feels after you push through that storm, that pain, that not wanting to do it, that uncomfortable feeling of, I'm really hungry, my stomach's growling. I was starving last night.
I bet.
And I was like, you know what, forget about food, just go work out.
Sure. And again, we were talking during one of the breaks, just hit the food thing real quick. Even after a workout, what do you do at at night? I'm a late night person. I go to bed at midnight, right? My wife goes to bed typically around 9 o'clock. So I've got 3 hours of getting stuff done, which is either I straighten up around the house or I'm on the computer and I'm following up with different things or emails or I'm writing reports or whatever. But it's my time. And so I value that time, but I'm also a late night snacker. And so one of my favorite meals is at midnight. I love it. You fill up, you're like, right? You got that burp. Owen's nodding yes. Right? You go to bed with a full belly. That is not healthy at all. So one of the things that I put at all, and so one of the things that I push myself is I'll drink a bunch of water before I go to bed, just to kind of get satiated, which is comfortable. So I can go, okay, my stomach's a little full. It's just processing that water. But it's much easier on the system. So many people at the end, in the morning or whatever that is, I'm on the go. I just have to do something right now and what happens is we get comfortable, but we get uncomfortably numb, if you will, referencing Pink Floyd. And so what I mean by that is there's a growth in making a decision, and it's not comfortable. Mm-hmm. So I have a really close friend of mine that contacted me today and said, I love watching your videos online and on Facebook or where you put your stuff, your text. what do you start doing? What's your camera? I want to start doing these videos. I'm starting to do videos. I don't like me on camera, but nobody likes themselves on camera. So I just have to try this. And I'm like, good for you. So let me be accountable to you. Here's my phone number. Call me directly, and I will do that. And they fell over. Like, you'd help me with this. You'd help me with that. Yeah. And I think as you lead by example, because, boy, there's tons of women following you. Like, heck, if Lisa can do this, why the heck can I do this?
Right.
And as you do this, you're mom of 4 troopers. 4 kids, everybody. 4 kids. That's crazy to me.
Yeah.
And so to do that is not easy. And to juggle and have a great relationship with your husband, or at least one that you can communicate with, where there's no finger pointing. I think it's uncomfortable for people to say, I'm not happy in this part of my life. Who is going to help me get happy with that? We don't do that.
Well, because
we don't do that.
Understanding that we're not perfect in every single department of our life. The biggest thing that I see is being a mom of 4 and just being one that loves to go through the uncomfortable feeling. I thrive on that. I thrive on being uncomfortable. I thrive on going through the pain. I thrive on what's going to come on the other side.
She's seeing counseling for that, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. Okay. Because I know what's going to come out of it. I know that it's all a learning process, that I need to become a student first, and I need to learn. So I do go through that. But then, I get compared to, how does she do it? How does she do it? How does a mom of 4 do that? How does she able to do this and that? Because I don't stop. I go through that pain, that
I don't see
feeling.
me as you say that. I mean, cut you off, but actually I did. So what I think about saying, I'm a mom of 4, I'm a dad of 5, or whatever that is. No, you're not. You're actually a wife of 4.
Yeah.
So I'm a wife, and I just so happen to have 4 children.
Right.
And so if people can look at their relationships that way, now it's a totally different mindset. We stop putting our children first, right? And we put us and our spouse first, and here come the kiddos.
Yes.
I think that's where the uncomfortable decision needs to be
And
made.
stop having excuses.
Yeah.
Because
I have 2 children myself, and I'm crazy about my kids, but my wife is number 1.
That's right.
And so when I believe in happy wife, happy life, and there's a weird cliche with that, but it's the absolute truth.
People think it's funny when you say, I put my wife first, and we're not talking about if your child falls out of a tree and you got to decide whose leg you're going to save, wife or child's. That's not what we're talking about. No. We're talking about your children have to see a great marriage modeled. Because
case in point, when I come home, Daddy's home, and they come on up, and they're the first ones at the door. They run on over and give me hugs, right? It's always hugs and kisses. I give them a hug. I says, Mama gets first kiss, and I walk on over. Jennifer's in the front room, because when you don't have kids, they come and greet you at the door, but now you have kids, like, oh, you're here? Good. Okay, back on Facebook.
That's right.
And I come on over, and I give her a little kiss. I said, hey, welcome on. Give her a little hug, and then the kids get one. So they know where my role is at home versus kids. Oh, yeah, I guess I do have a wife. And that's why, to me, I think divorce is just
There's so many parents out there that
prevalent.
Their kids are everything. They live, sleep, eat, breathe it. They put their husband or wife on the back burner because they've got to take their kids to sports. They've got to do this. They're so overly... And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, but what's going to happen when your children are out of the house? Where's your marriage going to be then? Because we have couples in the office right now dealing with the same thing. Yep. I put every single thing. I put every single thing into my kids while they were growing up. Everything. And now that they're gone and out of the house, I have nothing. I've lost myself. I've lost everything. And I don't even want to be married to this man anymore. I don't know who I am. I don't know who he is. I don't know nothing. Because you didn't put him first in the marriage, and he sure didn't put you first. Right. It was all about the kids.
Because you weren't grounded. You weren't your own tree that we talk about at the events, right? Who are you as that tree? And your soil, which you're planted in, is not of God. Mm-hmm. I don't care what your religious belief or spiritual belief is. If you don't have God in your center, then you're in trouble. Mm-hmm. And I think I call it high school syndrome. Once my kids get out of high school, then I'll figure it out. But until then, I just want to take care of them, make sure they're okay. And the downfall in high school syndrome is people have already made the decision to leave their spouse. So as soon as they graduate high school, now they're adults. Now I can leave them and go live the life that I want to live.
That's right.
Holy cow.
But Doc, all of it's so uncomfortable. The feeling of, you mean I have to put my husband before my kids or my wife before my kids, and I have to do this differently, and you're asking me to put my phone down, and you're asking me to not be on Facebook, and It's all uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I mean, every bit. You want me to go work out at 9 o'clock at night? You want me to actually get up at 4 o'clock in the morning? You want me to eat differently? You want me to try? You want me to love my life? You want me to keep laundry going good? I mean, that's all uncomfortable. That's hard stuff to do. What are you talking about? Mm-hmm. That's what people are thinking.
But it also comes down to, I think it's a communication. Let's really hit heavy on that in the next segment. How we'll maybe do some dialogue. I'm going to throw some things at Liesa.
Yeah.
And do some dialogue. Case in point. I'm in the office on Mondays and Thursdays. Those are my late nights. Mm-hmm. I'm there half day Wednesday, but I'm there Mondays and Thursdays, and I'm there 7:30, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10. We have different people, difficult cases. They'll stay later, or students, they'll stay later. And so when I stay later, I'm gone those 2 days. But they've got me for 5.
That's right.
Right. So how many people have their dad or spouse around for 5 days? Very few. I made that my priority. So in the process of making that my priority, does my financials do they get compensated? No, nobody compensates me for spending time with my children financially.
Right.
So they take a hit. So how do you make up for that? Well, if I had $100 million in the bank, or $100,000 cash sitting there, then I can do what I want to do. But Doc, I'm not like you. Well, I'm just like this listener. Right? I've made a decision to say, you know what? I'm going to put me and my family first.
Well, and we're going to take a break, but when we come back, what I'd love to talk about is something that you and I have been talking about over the last couple of days, and more so you than anything, is simplifying your life.
Yeah.
It is okay to make those hard decisions and live uncomfortable to get to where you want to go, and not make excuses about Facebook and eating, and it's just too hard. So we'll talk about that a little bit along with some dialogue.
Let's do that. It'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah. You're listening to Getting Weller. We'll be right back.
Clap along if you feel like that's what you want. When you try your best,
we are back. This is Dr. Eddie Weller.
And Liesa Jenkins.
And we are having an interesting conversation today
when
about
you get what you want, but
and
not
I think
what
when we
you
wake up in the
need.
morning, my wife's love language is time. And most people don't identify the love language. What really makes our spouse tick or our children tick? All of our children have love languages. Our spouse, our work spouse, has love languages. We have coworkers that when I mean by work spouse people, hello, I'm not getting married to anybody at work, is that we spend a lot of time with the people at work, like 8 to 9 hours a day.
Yep.
That's a lot. It's a big relationship. And so it's a communication thing on what makes that person tick.
We have fun in our office.
We have a blast.
Like yesterday. I don't want to get
Right.
off on this, but man, it was... Joyce
They have
is
this
our
thing
front-
of wanting to scare me.
Not me, Joyce. Don't put me in this.
Yeah. And so now we have got a pretty decent-sized office.
So I have to tell you, now that we're on this, just a few days ago, so he walks into my office, he's like, this is the plan, I'm going to scare Joyce. And here she is walking through the office, checking everything. She's looking around with her head, and she's like, where is he? She's always just waiting for him to scare her. So she's looking around for 10 minutes, and she walks into her office, and he jumps out from underneath the desk and scares her to death. It was the funniest thing in the world.
It made her uncomfortable.
It did.
But it also made her grow. And what I mean by that is I love the scare game. And so she scared me last week. And I said, you have one decision right now to make. Either you start this game or you end this game. I'm going to allow you to make that decision. If you decide to continue this game, I will win this game. And so she decided to continue the game. It made her uncomfortable, but she's growing through her scare.
That's right.
Right? And it's all about dialogue. So that was speaking of dialogue, that was a perfect dialogue with Joyce, right? My staff.
Mm-hmm.
She's the office manager. That was dialogue. What is it that makes you tick? I love coming here. I love being at this office. We see so many different cases and people, and I get up. I'm excited to come here. It's all about attitude and when you wake up in the morning. How you put your feet on the ground like, oh, gosh, it's so-and-so time. I got traffic. I got kids. I got. Versus I want. I can't wait to get up to go make a difference today with the gift God's given me. Can't wait to share this.
That's right.
And it's all attitude. Mm-hmm. And it's attitude of, my wife and I, we text each other all throughout the day. And we don't work anywhere near one another. Just constant updates. Remember the Weather Channel reference.
That's right.
And I think the dialogue would be if, let's just say you're my wife, Liesa, and we wake up in the morning. See a smile on her face.
Yeah, how you doing?
How you doing? And we wake up in the morning, and we're down in the kitchen. And we're getting smoothies together, whatever we do. I make smoothies every morning. So I make smoothies every morning for the family, and you come down. What? No coffee? Well, hold on a second. I didn't know you wanted coffee. Well, I always get coffee. I didn't know that. Well, I get coffee when I usually go to work, but I figure we're up in the morning. You're up early, so why didn't you? What? No, why didn't you make coffee? Well, how was I supposed to know? Well, now there's frustration, or you're doing all this stuff for the kids and yourself, but you're not doing anything for me. You did not communicate with me that you wanted coffee.
But you should have known.
That right, like I'm psychic. Right. So we have to be able to communicate with one another what we want. Some people like to have their space in bed. Some people like that arm just touching, hey, I'm here. Some people like to have a nightlight on. Some like socks. Whatever that is, I think it's a communication thing, even at work. I'm very particular at work. I like the bathroom clean. I like the baseboards wiped down. I like certain things done.
Yes, you are.
Right? So I like it clean. And so what happens? Everybody else in the office comes in agreement with that, and they have their role of doing things, just like you do at your house. All the kids, all right, everybody, 7 minutes to pick up. Let's go. Mm-hmm. And everybody's got their role. I need you to go do this, you to go do this. Ready? Go. And it's done in 7 minutes.
That's right.
That's communication.
Right.
I'm not expecting you to do it. I'm desiring for you to do it. When you say okay, then I expect for you to do it.
Well, and sometimes we tend to let people off the hook. I mean, let me give you an example. So my son's in there shaving his face, and he's doing his thing, and he takes a shower. And I know you hear this bathroom thing a lot because it's my pet peeve. I can't stand a dirty bathroom.
Yeah.
And so he goes to bed. He leaves his mess in the bathroom. I get up the next morning, and there I am getting ready, and I'm like, John, he left his clothes in the bathroom. He didn't wipe the sink off where he shaved. Everything that he used to wash his face is still out. There's Band-Aid wrappers here, and the roll of toilet paper is like not. And I'm like,
I'm gonna throw up right now.
it was like, it took everything I could to just chill and say, you know what? Don't clean this right now. Don't clean it. Don't do it. So I went in the kitchen, and I didn't lose my temper. I said, Dalton, when you get home from school today, the first thing that you're going to do is clean that bathroom. And I mean, you're going to scrub the toilets. You're going to wash the baseboards. If you're going to leave the bathroom like that, then you're going to learn how to clean it. And not a day since then has he left a mess in that bathroom after he had to clean it.
Well,
that's uncomfortable for him.
Well, it was also uncomfortable for me, as you said that. You're going to go upstairs and you're going to go clean this. I was that kid that said, no, I'm not.
But
so what would you do if I said, no, I won't?
Yeah, I don't work like that. He'd lose. I mean,
I was that kid. Well, you're going to go do this.
How many parents deal with that? But it's uncomfortable for parents to say, okay, I'm just going to let them get away with that. No, he would never get away with that in my house. Never. It's, not to be.
But it's giving the ball back. He would never get away. I would, because I would simply say, if I was your son, I'd say, yeah, I would. Well, I'm not going to clean it. You clean it.
But
and what are you going to do?
I'm talking to you.
I'm saying that because that happens in the office. There are parents in the office that say, Doc, what do I say to my child that has said, I'm not going to do this, Mom? Tough.
Well, for one thing, when you have a child like that, there's a whole lot more going on than just them not wanting to do it. You're letting them get away with it. Everybody's acting on their insanity cycle. Everybody's using their defense mechanisms, and that child's being a problem and controlling the situation. And you have to learn where that's coming from. What emotions is he hitting? What is going on in his life that he thinks that he can treat you like that? And more importantly, what's going on in your life that you're allowing him to treat you like that?
Yeah.
Doesn't happen.
Well, that's when it comes back to I think, a husband and wife communication thing where you just say, this is what's going on. It's bothering me. So how are we going to address this together?
Right. And John and I very much did that.
Now, what if you're single? The single thing is you just sit down with the thing that's causing you a problem and say, we sit down and says, is this acceptable? You see how dirty it is and how this is unkept? This isn't how we keep our house. So why did you do that? You gave him the ball. Right now, it sounds like you break out the guns of Navarone.
No, because
you
that's what I was going to tell you.
You are
I was so going to tell you. Zip it.
Oh, yeah.
I was so going to tell you, though, that the way that I told you that I told Dalton is not the way that I went in and approached it. This is conversation. I went in and I said, well, we need to have a talk.
So we need to have a disclaimer here.
We need to have
every
a
time
talk.
Liesa does an example in her house. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not
I
true.
said, do we need to have a talk? Do you think that the bathroom needs to stay like that? I mean, we had a great conversation about it. And he's like, no, Mom, you're right. And I said, so when you get home, would it be fair to say that you get to clean the bathroom? And that's exactly how I talked to him about it. It wasn't Captain whatever. I mean, it's, this is not how we roll in our house.
Uh-huh. Garbage can with the baseball bat. Get up, you maggots. Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes.
But know what that comes down to? Two things. One, communication. always, right, as a dialogue of communication. But 2 is your being intolerant. I'm raising our standards in the house. This is unacceptable on how we are going to live this way. We don't do this. My 3-year-old son, he takes his shirt off. Right? He has a hard time taking his shirt off, so I pick it up over his head. I said, all right, Liam. He puts it on the bathroom floor. Let's take a bath. It goes in the laundry basket, Papa. So he grabs it and runs to the basket,
because
and then we
you're
take a bath.
teaching him, and you're a role model.
That's
and
how
that's
we did it.
phenomenal.
Yeah.
Because there is communication within the household. That's how it starts. Most parents are afraid to start that dialogue because they've already gotten off on the wrong foot, and they don't know how to fix it. They don't know how to correct it. And we can, in the Atlas Institute of Health, we sit down with families, and we show them that, how to get weller, how do you turn the situation around, where's the dialogue start, what's going on.
Like a baseball umpire, right?
Yeah.
You sit down and these are the ground rules on how we operate the house. So when both teams are on the same page, either at work or at home, or your friends, when everybody's on the same page, you move forward through that storm and you get weller.
Yeah, and we're coming to the end of the show here. What I want everybody to understand, and if they didn't get anything out of the show, hear this. No matter what's going on in your life, you are possible. It goes right back to the I Am Possible event. You are possible, and you can change things right now. You can start all over, and you can go through that storm and get to the other side of it and stop going back to comfort. Stop going back to the same way that things were in your life just because you're afraid to experience a little bit of pain and being uncomfortable.
Well, if you go to the office, we surround the office in motivational quotes everywhere. My bathroom at home, when I get ready, I got stuff on the walls that I've written on. On my mirror, it says, you can. I mean, it's just, you have to be surrounded by that one little thing. So don't hold on to that yesterday. Oh, it's harder. Then start right now with one thing. And one of the things we do is why not write a card to somebody and just thank that one person in your life? We call it Gratitude Tuesday. On this coming Tuesday, why don't you do that? Write a card to somebody and just thank them for being in your life. Maybe it's a family member, a friend, or a parent. It's just somebody you're just appreciative of. And that's moving forward and letting go and really letting God just doing what you're supposed to be doing.
And boy, that's uncomfortable, but if you do it, the feeling that comes from that is
And be consistent
phenomenal.
with it, abundance happens.
That's
Hey,
right.
we appreciate you. Keep your head on straight.
You are listening to Getting Weller.
Have a great day.